Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host, speaking at you from Monday, April 27th, 2026, in the space and time continuum. And I was saying on Saturday morning when Trump ended up going to Mar-a-Lago on the same day that he was supposed to be in Washington, D.C., where he already was, Friday night or early Saturday morning, like really early Saturday morning, he flew from D.C. to Mar-a-Lago. He was supposed to be at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night. So I was thinking, okay, it's totally devastating for him to show up to it because they're giving awards for reporting on the Epstein files, for instance. Caitlin Collins, I think, from CNN was supposed to get an award on that. And what's Donald Trump going to do? And he's supposed to give a speech. He's supposed to kind of be funny. This is the one where the presidents tell a couple jokes, you know. George W. Bush, he doesn't know how to be funny except for when he's not trying to be funny. Like when he says stuff like, you fool me once, yeah. Well, you fool me twice. You fool me once, you can't fool me again. He said that, you know. You got to wonder, is our children learning in school? He actually said that. He was very funny, but not when he was trying to be funny. So he had a guy imitate him at one of the correspondents' dinner because he just couldn't be funny. Barack Obama kicked ass. He knows how to deliver comedy. He had some great writers, and he was a good performer. Donald Trump, can you imagine him trying to go up there and be funny during a normal, you know, what the presidents do, like what Barack Obama did? No, you can't. So I knew if he showed up, it would be horrible for him. If he doesn't show up, it will be horrible for him. So this is what I was saying on Saturday. And I was wondering, which one of those two things was it going to be? I figured I could at least count on one of those two things being the thing. No. I have to give it to them for their creativity, except for they've done this too many times now. Obviously, they've done it too many times. Actually, the first time was one time too many. In Butler, in the summer of 2024, the quote-unquote assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Most people, just like what happened after JFK got shot, most people don't believe that was a real thing. They think it was somehow staged. And there are just too many things that do not make sense. Just like back in the 60s, I remember my dad, he didn't believe that Lee Harvey Oswald shot Kennedy. Nobody did. There were documentaries being made. There were legitimate reporters going after information, interviewing witnesses, rather, that were often not interviewed by the FBI or the CIA or anybody who was investigating the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And the story, the official story, is the least believable of any of the stories people tell about what might have happened. We're never going to know exactly what happened, but I know Lee Harvey Oswald did not shoot him. So now you got that going on in the Butler assassination, quote unquote, attempt on Trump. Got that going on even in the Charlie Kirk assassination. Now, bullets flew, people got hurt or died. But now on Saturday night, they decided to try it again. This is how Trump got out of it. He knew he couldn't just not show up and stay at Mar-a-Lago. Everyone would think he was dying, because he is. And he also knew, I mean, I don't think they even attempted to write a speech for him to give at this, really. How about the Butler thing worked out really great? People bought it, at least for a while. It'll get us out of this at least for a while. Let's do it again. Just do it again. I don't care. Let me be surprised how you do it, but just do it. There, I believe, are more people. Now, again, shots were fired. There was a gunman, apparently. But there are so many weird things. So many weird things. One of them, of course, being that there was supposed to be Epstein report awards going on. Awards, a couple different awards for reporting on the Epstein files. Trump, how can he be there for that? Immediately, within about 2 minutes after the incident happened, I don't know, 100 or so, seemed like, maggots on Twitter wrote, "This is why we need the ballroom." Very close to the exact same wording. And within an hour after the incident, Trump is saying that same thing. So what's up with that? You know, the ballroom has been found to be an illegal venture. It's been halted. This happens and he wants to get it moving again. The Washington Post is reporting about how this was a lower level of security than most events like this, where the top officials are. And every single top official, it was Chuck Grassley would have become president if the people that were at, the top level people, there were 5 or 6 people in the presidential succession list, the top of it. J.D. Vance is sitting just feet away from the president, the vice president and the president, at an incident where a supposed assassin got into the building. Now, he didn't get close to the ballroom. That's another reason why we, but there supposedly he was shot at. Supposedly he shot at a Secret Service guy, hit him in the chest, but he had a bulletproof vest on, so he went to the hospital and is going to be okay, apparently. I have to say apparently after every sentence that this administration puts out there, because we don't believe any of it anymore. Nobody does. The maggots are the first ones to be calling this out because they know ballistics, because they're gun nuts as well. That's why they're saying you don't get hit in the ear with a bullet like that and have no damage done. You don't just wear a panty liner on your ear for a week and then everything's fine after you get hit by an AR-15 type of bullet. So they're the ones who are pointing that out. They're also the ones who are pointing out a lot of discrepancies in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And by the way, Charlie Kirk was starting to turn on the Trump regime and on Israel. Okay, now, Saturday night, there were more things going back to what supposedly happened. That's what I was doing, right? I'm getting a little beside myself here, as I'm sure you are too. I was so frustrated when they pulled this stupid... because, of course, the mainstream media is talking about it seriously. They're taking it like it's actually a thing, when they should be asking the questions that everyone else, like me and Ben Meiselas on the Midas Touch Network, are asking and pointing out. I'm going to play a clip from his show in just a moment here. But anyway, so the shooter apparently runs into a lobby that's on a different floor than the ballroom and takes a shot at a Secret Service guy. And then there were something like 5 shots taken at him, none of which hit him. Are these guys trained in shooting guns? What? But they successfully arrested him. So how did they take him down? If he had apparently more than one gun, they shot at him and did not hit him. How did they stop him and take him down? They don't say. They don't tell that part of the story because they don't expect anyone's going to ask about that part of the story. There's supposed video of him that, by the way, Trump was showing within the hour. It was so grainy, there's never been a camera. In the 1800s, cameras were more clear than what was on this footage. It was supposedly a security camera. How did he get that so quickly? Right in the place where the guy supposedly ran through. By the way, he had a black shirt on in that video, but then when they showed him laying on the carpet after he was apprehended, he had no shirt on. You know, why do people not ask these questions? Drives me crazy. It's all a lie. You know, I'm not saying Trump planned on it, but it seems like it sure worked out great for him. Who else might have known about it? His press secretary, Caroline Leavitt. Here's what she said right before the dinner.
He is ready to rumble. I will tell you, this speech tonight will be classic Donald J. Trump. It'll be funny. It'll be entertaining. There will be some shots fired tonight in the room. So everyone should tune in. It's going to be really great.
What? There will be some shots fired tonight. Now, here's a reporter from Fox News calling into a Fox News show from the ballroom, or from outside the ballroom, actually. And here's what she said regarding Caroline Leavitt's husband.
I want to just quickly tell you, I was sitting next to Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary's husband. He was one of our guests. He was seated right next to me. And, right as the dinner was starting, the national anthem happened. And then he kind of leaned over and said, I watched you on TV. You do a great job. You need to be very safe. And he was just very serious when he said that to me. And he kind of looked around the room and he said, there are some.
Oh, I did not cut that clip off.
Sounds like we lost Aisha's phone there. And this happens, by the way.
Right. You didn't push a button to cut her off, did you? So what's going on, man? What was going on? People say, people can't keep that many people can't keep a secret. Of course it was real. Of course it wasn't staged. Of course it wasn't fake. Of course Lee Harvey Oswald shot him. The secrets are getting out all the time. They did it back in 1963. And they are now. The press secretary just can't help herself from hinting at what she knew was going to happen? Or was it just a coincidence that she said that? And then what about her husband? And then why did Fox cut that reporter off when she was making that particular report? Again, don't trust me. I certainly don't trust corporate media. I learned all of these things from other sources. All of these things are true. There's video footage. There's direct evidence of everything I'm saying. And then they say, like, let's just say they would say it about me. Not that anyone's going to find out, except for you. I don't know that other media know that I exist. But Todd Mikkelson presented a bunch of conspiracy theories with no proof of any of them. Well, first of all, I am proving some of them. And secondly, why do they not have to prove? Why did they not have to prove that Lee Harvey Oswald shot John F. Kennedy? Why did they not have to prove that? Why do they never have to prove it? Why do, when we see a discrepancy and a lie in their story, why do we have to prove it? Why can't they prove it? Nobody is proving that this was a legitimate thing. I don't know why the guy did it. I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of things that just absolutely don't make sense. some people just lose it and go nuts, crazy. But then, was it planned for him to be there? I mean, I don't know how that works. But why are there so many holes to be punched in this story? Yeah. So, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some things that I was going to talk about before this BS event ended up happening on Saturday night, which still just pisses me off. He just skirts out of everything. Find some way to skirt out of everything. You know, what if the Secret Service guy got shot in the face instead of the chest with a bulletproof vest? Trump doesn't care. We're going to hear from two different experts who tell us that Trump doesn't care about anybody's life. He doesn't care about anything but himself. He doesn't care about his family. He doesn't care about anything but himself. To get out of the embarrassment of Saturday night, he was sacrificing the lives of people. There, by the way, are a lot more things, a lot more holes to be punched in this story. I mean, I know of 2 times more than what I went through here that I've learned of. That's not what the whole show's focused on. But I don't not believe it happened. I don't not believe there was a gunman. I'm not saying any of that. But what was going on? Because they're not telling. And by the way, why do we not know what happened in Butler? Why was there no investigation? Well, the wife of the guy who died, apparently, who, by the way, we never saw a body get taken out. We never was. I'm not trying to say that guy didn't die. I don't know. But the point is I don't know. And a lot of other people don't either, because nobody believes that it went down the way we were told it went down. That guy who died, his wife wants to know why there's no investigation. She wants to know more about the shooter. She wants to know how the shooter got up on that building and shot what ended up being her husband. She's pissed. Why? Why would they cover up information? They're telling us to prove that it was staged, but they have not yet proven at all that it wasn't. We have a lot of evidence. They, if they have some, are covering it up. It's just like the Epstein files. If you're innocent, why not release the files? Oh, my God. Did I say we were going to take a break? Yes. All right. Thank you so much for listening to A Satellite View. We'll be right back after this short break. Satellite View. Find our website, satelliteviewpodcast.com. Go to YouTube and search for Satellite View Podcast. Find our YouTube page. Subscribe. It's free. And then you can watch this show visually if you want to. And if you're listening just through audio, thank you so much for being here with me again this week. Our viewership and listenership is going up. That's great. It's a great thing. And also, you can find me at Todd Mikkelson on Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and things like that. Let's get into some of the things I was going to talk about before whatever the fuck it was that happened on Saturday night happened. Some of it is actually good news and funny news. Connie Ballmer, she is the wife of a guy who owns a sports team. I don't know enough about sports, and I didn't write down his name or the sports team's name, because that doesn't really matter. He's like a billionaire who owns a sports team. I have no idea what kind of guy he is or what his ideology is or anything like that, but his wife, Connie Ballmer, donated $80 million to National Public Radio that the Trump administration is trying to get shut down. $80 million for one person to give to an entity like that. That's how much Michael Jackson paid for the entire catalog of the Beatles music. I don't know why I remember that. Of course, it was something like 1982 or something. So I don't know what $80 million in 1982 would be now, but still. This woman gave it to NPR. She's not getting anything for it. She gave it away to support a very important news outlet. Here's something. You know Alex Jones, the InfoWars guy? Alex Jones, who says that Sandy Hook was a hoax and that the parents who were sad about their kids getting shot were actors and actresses. And then he got sued by those parents, and he owes, I don't know, an unrealistic amount of money to a bunch of different people, and he's totally wiped out. He had to sell InfoWars, and it was bought by The Onion. The Onion that does parody news and has for years. They've been struggling because reality is more funny than anything that they've been able to write over the last 8 or more years. But them acquiring InfoWars is absolutely marvelous. Oh, so also what else? The talks. This is part of the reason why this assassination BS happened on Saturday, I think. Talks were supposed to be going on between J.D. Vance, apparently, and the other two guys, Stephen Witkoff. I can't even remember. This is good. My brain has pushed his name out of my memory in favor of something better. Jared Kushner. Oh, damn, it's back. Anyway, those guys were supposed to be talking to Iran on Saturday. Iran said, I'm not going. So then Trump announced, I told JD not to go. I don't want him to keep taking an 18-hour trip to talk to nobody that we don't even know, talk about nothing. It's all a farce. The talks were never going to happen. Trump has lost complete control over whatever the hell he's trying to do in Iran, which we've not heard talked about now for the whole weekend and today, apparently. Trump, I don't know, is he in hiding again? What's going on? He successfully got people to stop talking about that. Stop talking about he didn't get people to stop talking about the Epstein files, actually. But they kind of stopped talking about the whatever he's doing in Iran and the fact that he looks like an idiot and is losing to Iran, had no idea Iran could stick up for themselves. Another thing that happened is Eric Trump became a consultation guy or whatever to a company that's owned by a guy who used to own some sort of bank. And he told the people that were putting their money into his bank that he was FDIC covered, and he wasn't. And then, of course, he drove it into the ground and everybody lost their money. And for some reason, he was not put behind bars for fraud. He started a new company that makes robots for the military and got a contract from Donald Trump and Pete Kegbreath's Pentagon. The Pentagon paid that company $24 million. The company only started at the end of 2024. It's all BS, and it's all just more grifting by the Trump family and their friends. Another interesting thing, the aircraft carriers now have been at sea for so long that they're running out of food. Troops have lost significant weight. They're taking pictures of their tray that has hardly any food on it, and it's getting out into the public. And of course, Trump says, that's fake, People also realize that Friday is Market Manipulation Friday, where Trump says we're going to have a deal in the war. The war is going great. We're going to be at peace soon. The strait is going to open up this weekend, tomorrow probably. And then it's like every week now, 15 minutes before he announces this, there's multi-million-dollar investments made in the stock market. And of course, then they sell it and they make money. Or the other way around, I don't, however this fucking stock market works, I don't even... Yeah, I do know, but, I might have explained it wrong there. And I don't care. I don't care. The stock market is just for rich billionaires at this point. All right, let's talk about what's going on with Trump's health. First, I'm sorry, that was an early teaser. Here's something. No, I'll save these things. Okay, now there's another false teaser, right? I'll save these couple things for the very end because it's good news. But let's talk about Trump's health. First of all, when he was, they were trying to get him out from the room, which took him way too long. J.D. Vance had been whisked out like that and was gone for like a full 60 seconds before they got Trump out. They get him to stand up, and then he immediately falls down because I don't think he can barely walk anymore. And then they had to pick him up and like drag him off behind the curtain. So here are two experts on the subject, and I want you to pay attention to how congruent what it is they're saying is. The first one is Dr. John Cartner. He's a psychologist, and here's some things that he was saying about Donald Trump.
The nature of his organic cognitive decline, which I believe is probably frontotemporal dementia, is that it never gets better and it never stays the same. It only gets worse. The rate of deterioration begins to accelerate. At this point, the decline is so rapid that he's not the same man he was 4 weeks ago. The frontal lobe is really what distinguishes us from animals. It's the thing that inhibits us from just acting on stray impulses. But the main thing people need to understand, if you think of that frontal lobe as deteriorating, right? And that's the brake, and that's the judgment, right? The two things you would need in a president of the United States who's making decisions about war are judgment and restraint. And those are the two things that he is literally, we're almost down to zero in the tank. These are the patients in the nursing home who they dose with high-dose antipsychotics because they're so violent and out of control. And he's not just a patient in a nursing home. He's got the nuclear codes. The way he's talked about the war in Iran, half the time he's incomprehensible. And half the time he's internally inconsistent. There's no rhyme or reason to it. He's become more erratic. He's become more disinhibited. He is a malignant narcissist on a good day, right? Before he had organic cognitive decline, which means he is fundamentally an evil person. His frontal lobes are deteriorating. He's losing judgment. He's losing what little impulse control he had. He's losing his hold on reality. What malignant narcissists like to do is to feel powerful by destroying and dominating and hurting other people. They're sexual sadists who feel better by causing harm to other people. He can use the U.S. military to blow up whoever he wants, and that gives him gratification. He said to Jonathan Swan that the military is looking forward to its next conquest. This is fun for him.
Yeah, the sexual sadist thing is haunting after hearing some things about the Epstein file thing. Yeah, he likes to hurt other people, and he likes to see them hurt. So here is another expert. Here is Professor Jeffrey Sachs. And one thing, if you're watching this, you'll see that he's on the Piers Morgan show. Now, if you're listening to this in audio, Piers Morgan is a right-wing. He's stuck up for Donald Trump for years now. And he's not stopping this guy, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, from saying all of these things about Donald Trump, which I find that in itself is quite significant.
Israel and the United States together have created a disaster in the Middle East. Israel has created a genocide. Israel and the United States together have created this war of whim in Iran that has killed thousands, but has already begun to devastate the entire world. But we also have clearly a clinical condition. We have an individual mental incapacity. The psychiatrists and psychologists that look at this call it the dark triad, meaning that the man is narcissistic, Machiavellian, in other words, completely untrustworthy in every way, and psychopathic, meaning that killing other people does not have any concern for either of these people. So these are both dark triad personalities. Many people are saying, Piers, that Trump is also showing symptoms of frontotemporal dementia as well. In other words, that this personality has always been there, but the loss of impulse control has taken over, perhaps because of dementia added to this. We have a very serious issue. There's never been a president in this incapacity.
He goes on for a little longer, and Piers Morgan normally would interrupt somebody who's talking like that, but he let him go on and on. Yeah, so these are things that are happening. Another thing, I mentioned the Epstein files, and that people have not stopped talking about them. Now, on Saturday, the Epstein survivors, again went to Washington, D.C. They did something on the mall. Aaron Parnes, he's got a great show on YouTube now. He has been a lawyer, but now he's becoming a journalist, and he does a great job. He has 8-minute clips a few times a day, great reporting on a lot of this kind of stuff. And he does a lot with the survivors. He has announced, by the way, that this week he's got big news on the Epstein files, on the Epstein matter. Now, this is after spending Saturday with Epstein survivors again. He has many times done that and helped them do events and things like that. He has announced today that he's got big news. He is preparing to present it, and it's going to happen this week. Now, on Saturday, the survivors were in Washington, D.C., and they tweeted or something about it, and then the DOJ quick response team on Twitter wrote, hey, if any of your survivors want to step on, if you're in D.C., want to step on over to the FBI building and give a statement to the FBI, you're more than welcome to. So they did. And now there's video of them standing in front of the FBI building, being asked, have you been here before? And they go, yes, many times. Starting in 1996, I have tried to talk to the FBI many times. There's video of them knocking on the door and nobody answering. Because apparently the whole FBI was getting drunk at the correspondence dinner. Why was the head of the FBI there? You know, you don't get into the White House Correspondents' Dinner unless you're a journalist, unless you're part of the press. Why was the head of the FBI there? Normally, the vice president is never there. All of the cabinet people, why were they all there? How did they get in? He's trying to take over the press. Now he's saying he's going to put on a better show in 30 days, which, of course, it takes a year to plan this. And he destroyed it and thinks that they can just do it again in 30 days. Right. And then he thinks that they're going to do it on the White House grounds in his ballroom. That's not going to happen. That's nothing that would ever happen. The ballroom on the White House grounds, what does he just think it's going to be like? I could book a wedding there for, or something. Such a fucking dumb shit. Sick of it. Anyway, we were in the good news part, right? So Epstein survivors are still keeping it alive. So is Aaron Parnas. So is Katie Fang, who just this morning filed a lawsuit against Todd Blanche and the DOJ because they're breaking the law every day. She's a journalist and she wants to tell the American people what is going on. And she can't because they have over-redacted and not released the Epstein files. So she's saying, hey, you're breaking the law. You were supposed to release everything in December, and you still haven't. I'm suing you and telling you got to do. She's not looking for money. She's not going to get paid a cent for this. She just wants the information to get out. She is a stellar reporter. She was laid off from MSNBC because she's an Asian woman. I don't know which one was worse to them, but they couldn't keep her on. They can keep Ari Melber, the worst fucking host I've ever seen, on that channel. He's still on there, but Katie Fang, they had to let go. She was one of my favorites on that channel. But they let her go. Now she's even more powerful. She's got her own gig. She's working with Midas Touch Network, but she's got her own channel. She's free to do her own thing. And I want you to find her. The way you spell her name is Katie, Katie, Fang, Phang. And if you go to YouTube, her channel is called Katie Fang News. So she's at Katie Fang News. Go find it. She also puts out concise, very thorough reporting. And I believe she used to be a lawyer as well. So she really knows her way around lawsuits and things like that. So she really gets to the meat of things. I've seen her read more of actually between her and Aaron Parnas, I've seen them cover the Epstein files more thoroughly than probably anybody. And so go find Katie Fang. She is being a hero to us all right now by suing Todd Blanche and the Department of Justice, quote unquote. All right, there's some good news. We're keeping all of this stuff alive. No matter what happened on Saturday night, we will not be distracted. We're going to keep on this. You and I are going to stick together. The power of the people is palpable. Let's keep it up. We are winning. That's why they did this BS on Saturday night. They think they got us all in line, but they don't. They don't. So let's keep it up. Let's stick together. I will be here for you. Thank you so much for being here with me. I appreciate it so much. And thank you for getting all the way through this show again. And I will speak at you next week.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmikkelson.com for links and more information.